we talk in the third circle theory a lot about the lack of confidence and how that plays a role in our long-term journey. I think that confidence is a significant part of third circle theory and how we evolve from circle to circle. But as we said earlier in one of the videos, confidence is ultimately the byproduct of our track record. The better we do in life, the more we win at things. It doesn't matter what it is, that we win Little League soccer, or that we win a beauty pageant when we're young, or that we participate in a race and we win in PE, whatever it is that we do. And the more we win, the more it boosts up our confidence that we're winners and that no matter what we do, we're going to be successful as long as we try. I think that we're very afraid to make mistakes because we lack confidence in that particular area in which the mistake we're afraid to make. If you think about, like, for example, if you're afraid of failure, like if we're afraid to make mistakes at work, it's because we don't believe ourselves to be proficient at work and good at what we do, and so therefore we hesitate in our motions and what we do, and it actually makes us more likely to make a mistake. You know, when they say you're more likely to face the things you're afraid of the most rather than actually have them not happen, you know, if you're afraid of failing, it's most likely that you're going to fail. The reason that is because the more you're afraid of something, the more you're conscious about it, and the more you're convincing your belief system that you're not going to succeed, and you ultimately fail at it. Confidence is a very big part of growth. You have to believe in yourself enough to know you can accomplish things, even if you don't have a track record. You have to believe enough that mistakes are going to be made and that you're going to get hurt along the way, and that's okay. It's no different than saying you don't want to love someone because you're afraid they're going to leave you and you're going to get hurt. Well, if you're never going to love someone because you're afraid they're going to leave you, then you're never going to love anybody, and ultimately you're going to end up alone. So what's better, to be hurt a few times along the way or to end up alone forever? The same can be said about business. Is it better to fail a few times and eventually get there, or to never make it there because you never tried to begin with because you were just afraid? So confidence, you know, has a lot of play with fear. The way we can actually mitigate that confidence and increase it before worrying about mistakes is the more informed we are about something, the more likely we are to feel confident of our ability to undertake it. So if you feel that you're missing, let's say you're afraid of making a mistake, ask yourself how confident you are of the action you're about to take. And can you do anything to reinforce what you're about to do prior to undertaking it? So if you're about to undertake a business, are you equipped well enough? Are you educated enough about your business, about your market that you're going to undertake? And can that help alleviate some of that stress or alleviate some of that fear that ultimately leads to this lack of confidence? If you can, then do it. If you need it, do it. But I always say, you know, the more we dwell on trying to find information, the longer we give our brains a reason not to act. So I always say act first, research after, and then act again, research again, until research and action become correspondent with one another and move functionally together, and you're able to use the information you receive immediately to the actions you take. I think it's very important to consider that actions are the key. Like, a lot of times the leap of faith is what you need to do. Like, you know, we're all afraid of jumping off a plane, for example, and going skydiving. That's usually a fear a lot of people have. Very few people are adventurous enough to undertake that. But if we're on the plane, it's very scary, right? We're afraid of that jump. But once we're thrown off the plane, then our mind thinks differently. It no longer thinks about, you know, like, well, should I jump or not? It now thinks about, how do I make this jump count? How do I make sure I land? And so taking the action is always key. I always speak a lot about the importance of when you're approaching someone of the opposite sex and you think about asking them out, you're thinking to yourself, like, what if they reject me, right? What if that's a mistake? What if I should never ask them out? What if I go out there and get humiliated? Well, in reality, what we've talked about before in these videos is that if you actually approach someone and only engage in a conversation, throwing out your hello or, you know, giving out your name, your brain now no longer thinks about what if and the possibilities of the mistake. Instead, it starts recognizing what it needs to say next to stay in the game rather than be eliminated from the game before even starting. So when your brain is given the opportunity to think of 1,000 reasons why something would work, it usually takes that opportunity. But when you don't allow your brain that opportunity to action, then your brain starts becoming reactive, which is actually good at the beginning. It becomes reactive to trying to find functionality to continue rather than functionality to start. So just remember that action always leads to more confidence because you've already taken the leap. Now the question is, how do you survive? And as human beings, we're just better survivors than we're builders naturally. And so that usually comes within our ancestry. And so it's very, very important to remember that if we put ourselves in a situation where our ass is against the wall, we tend to find a way out. But if we ask ourselves if we want to put ourselves in a situation, we often answer no. So, it's no different than me quitting my job. It's no different than you taking a leap of faith. It's no different than someone jumping off an airplane or asking a girl out. It's the same thing. The question is, can you overcome that fear for that 1 second, and then act so that your brain starts thinking reactively as to how to survive for that moment and continuously build upon that and then eventually build even further past the survival stage rather than just stay in that hesitation mode because of its fear of the unknown.